Good day, Sir Janelle P. Silguero. We are the Group 3 and we will be discussing the digestive system. And I am Queen P. Morales and my partner is Aling Grace Lara. Here is the presentation outline. First is the objective, second is the introduction, and third is the microorganism and disease that is present in the digestive system or the GI tract. For the objectives, first is that knowing what is viral and bacterial infection that happens in our digestive system, specifically in the digestive tract. Second is to know the different types of pathogens that causes such illnesses or disease. So for the introduction, the human gastrointestinal microbiota or the microflora is consists in a group of microorganisms that live in the digestive system tract. They comprise a metabolically active and complex ecosystem and consisting of hundreds of thousands of microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, and some eukaryotes that colonize the digestive tract soon after birth. So the microbiota has established a dynamic association of mutual benefits or the symbiosis with the human organism, which result in the maintenance of normal immunological, metabolic, and motor function as well as correct nutrient digestion and absorption. Some infectious diseases affect more than one anatomical site and some pathogens move from one body site to another during the course of a disease. An individual's gastrointestinal microbiota is made of bacteria that live in the digestive tract. Hundreds of thousands of microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, and some eukaryotes populates the digestive tract shortly after birth. To maintain appropriate immunological, metabolic, and motor activities as well as correct nutritional digestion and absorption or the symbiosis, the microbiota has developed a dynamic partnership of mutual will benefits the human organism. Some infectious diseases affect multiple anatomical sites and some pathogens migrate between them. So I will discuss the microorganism and disease present in the digestive system or the GI tract. So bacterial infection of the GI tract. First is the enterovirulent Escherichia coli or the E. coli. It's a gram-negative bacillus that is found in the GI tract or all humans. The strains and serotypes of E. coli that are part of the indigenous microflora of the GI tract are opportunistic pathogen. So the E. coli is the major cause of septicemia, urinary tract infection or the UTIs, and healthcare associated infection. So entero-invasive Escherichia coli is a type of pathogenic bacteria whose infection causes a syndrome that is identical to shigellosis, with profuse diarrhea and high fever. The EIEC or the entero-invasive Escherichia coli are highly invasive and they use adhescent proteins to bind to and enter the intestinal cells. So bacteria infection of the GI tract is first the pathogen H. pylori or the Helicobacter pylori is previously known as the Campylobacter pylori. Is a gram-negative pathogen that is microaerophilic spiral bacterium that is usually found in the stomach that may be passed from person to person through direct contact with saliva, vomit, or fecal matter. The H. pylori may also be spread through contaminated food or water. So the disease that caused by the pathogen H. pylori is the bacterial gastritis and gastric ulcer. So gastritis is a suspected when a person has upper abdominal pain with nausea or heartburn. People with duodenal ulcer may experience gnawing, burning, aching, mild to moderate pain just below the breastbone, and empty feeling and hunger, which the H. pylori bacteria infect your stomach. This usually happens during childhood, and a common cause of peptic ulcer is the H. pylori infection that may be present in more than half of the people in the world. Campylobacter is the second pathogen, or the Campylobacter jejuni, and less commonly known as Campylobacter coli. Campylobacter spp are curved, S-shaped or spiral-shaped gram-negative bacilli, often having a gull-wing morphology following a cell division, which is a Campylobacter is a gram-negative microaerophilic non-endospore forming an S-shaped bacterial species with genus Campylobacter. In humans, it is C. coli, which can cause campylobacteriosis, diarrheal disease, which is the most frequently reported foodborne illness in the European Union, where the people can become ill with campylobacteriosis by eating contaminated food, drinking contaminated water, or having contact with infected animals. So, the disease caused by Campylobacter jejuni or the Campylobacter spp are the Campylobacter enteritis. Campylobacter enteritis is an acute bacterial enteric disease ranging from asymptomatic to severe, with diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, fever, malaise, and abdominal pain. So, Campylobacter enteritis is a common cause of intestinal infection, which these bacteria are also known of the main cause of traveler's diarrhea or food poisoning. Most people often get infected by eating or drinking food or water that contains the bacteria, and most people recover from Campylobacter infection without antibiotic treatment, while patients should drink extra fluids as long as diarrhea lasts. Some people with or at risk for severe illness might need antibiotic treatment. So, the next pathogen is the etiologic agents of cholera are certain biotypes of Vibrio cholerae serogroup. These are curved gram-negative bacilli that secrete an enterotoxin called choleragen. Other Vibrio spp such as Vibrio paragemaloticus and Vibrio vulnificus. So, cholera toxin or choleragen, cholera exotoxin, cholera heteroexotoxin is the toxin produced by the Vibrio cholerae, which is responsible for the increased secretion of chloride ions into the gut lumen, resulting in the severe diarrhea of cholera. So, the disease caused by the etiologic agents are the cholera, which is an acute bacteria diarrheal disease with profuse watery stools, occasional vomiting, and rapid dehydration. So, cholera has been nicknamed as the blue death because a person's skin may turn bluish-gray from the extremely loss of fluids. So, diarrheal illnesses caused by the infection of the intestine with Vibrio cholerae bacteria. So, people can get sick when they swallow food or water contaminated with cholera bacteria. So, the infection is often mild or without symptoms but can sometimes be severe and life-threatening. Next pathogen is the Salmonella typhi, known as the typhoid bacillus. Is a gram-negative bacillus that releases endotoxin and produces exotoxin. It is often associated with animals and animals products that are eaten. Salmonella typhi morium can be transferred to the humans through raw or undercooked infected food, including meat and eggs. In poultry, Salmonella typhi morium is passed from bird to bird, most commonly through their droppings, which it can affect the intestinal tract of the blood. So the disease caused by the Salmonella typhi is the typhoid fever. It's a systematic bacterial disease which fevers, severe headache, malaise, anorexia, a rash on the trunk is about 25% of patients, non-productive cough, and constipation. So the typhoid fever is a bacterial infection that can spread throughout the body, affecting many organs without prompt treatment, and it can cause serious complications and can be fatal. It's caused by a bacterium called Salmonella typhi, which is related to the bacteria that cause Salmonella food poisoning. Next pathogen in the GI tract is the Shigella dysentery, Shigella flexneri, Shigella boydii, and Shigella sonni. They are pneumocyle gram-negative bacilli that are members of the Enterobacteriaceae. So Shigella is found in the stool, feces on infected people, in food or water contaminated by an infected person, and on surfaces that have been touched by infected people. So shigellosis often occurs in toddlers who are not fully toilet trained. So the disease caused by the pathogen Shigella is the shigellosis or the bacillary dysentery, an acute bacterial infection of the lining of the small and large intestine, producing diarrhea with blood, mucus, and puke. So shigellosis causes an infection called shigellosis. Most people with Shigella infection have diarrhea, sometimes bloody, fever, and stomach cramps, and symptoms usually begins to 1 to 2 days after infection and lasts 2 to 7 days, and most people recover without needing antibiotics. So next pathogen is the Staphylococcus aureus. So Staphylococcus aureus is a gram-positive round-shaped bacterium that is a member of the Bacilliota and is usually member of the microbiota of the body, frequently found in the upper respiratory tract and on the skin. These bacteria are spread by having direct contact with an infected person, by using a contaminated object, or by inhaling infected droplets dispersed by sneezing or coughing. Skin infections are common, but the bacteria can spread through the bloodstream and infect the distant organ. So the disease caused by the pathogen Staphylococcus aureus is the staphylococcal food poisoning. So staph food poisoning is characterized by sudden start of nausea, vomiting, and stomach cramps. Most people also have diarrhea. Symptoms usually develop within 30 minutes to 8 hours after eating or drinking an item contaminating staph toxin and last no longer than 1 day. Severe illnesses is rare. The foods that have been most frequently implicated in cases of staphylococcal food poisoning are the poultry and cooked meat products such as ham and corned beef. And other foods is implicated were milk and milk products, canned food, and bakery products. So the next pathogen will be discussed by Miss Aline Grace Lara.
Good afternoon, Morales, especially to Sir Silguera. Today, I will discuss about the protozoal infection of the GI tract. So, first pathogen will be the amoebiasis. Is caused by Entamoeba histolytica. Like all amoebas, E. histolytica has 2 stages. The C stage, which is the dormant infective stage, and the motile metabolically active reproducing trophozoite stage. So the amoebiasis is a disease caused by the parasite Entamoeba histolytica. It can affect anyone, although it is more common in people who live in tropical areas with poor sanitary condition. So diagnosis can be difficult because other parasites can look very similar to E. histolytica when seen under a microscope. So the disease is the amoebiasis. Amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery is a protozoal gastrointestinal infection that may be asymptomatic, mild, or severe, and is often accompanied by dysentery, fever, chills, bloody or mucodiarrhea, or constipation and colitis. So the second pathogen of the protozoal infection of the GI tract will be the balantidiasis. Is a protozoal gastrointestinal infection of the colon causing diarrhea or dysentery, colic, nausea, and vomiting. So, in other words, it is a rare intestinal infection caused by the bacterium Balantidium coli, a single-celled parasite or celiac protozoan that frequently infects pigs but on occasion or rarely infects to humans. So, parasite balantidiasis is caused by the Balantidium coli, a ciliated protozoan. B. coli is the only ciliate that causes disease in humans. So, balantidiasis occurs more commonly in pigs than in humans. So, how common is balantidiasis is? So, Balantidium coli, true rare in the US. So, it is an intestinal protozoan parasite that can infect humans, no? So, these parasites can be transmitted through the fecal route by contaminated food and water. So, the next pathogen of the protozoal infection of the GI tract is the cryptosporidiosis result from ingestion of oocyte of Cryptosporidium parvum, a coccidian or other coccidial parasite of human are in the genera Cyclospora, Isospora, and Sarcosis titis. So, in other words, no, cryptosporidiosis is an infection that causes diarrhea. So, it is sometimes called crypto. So, it is caused by a parasite found in stool. So, you can get this infection after eating food or drinking water that is contaminated with stool. So, this includes swallowing water while swimming. So, the disease is cryptosporidiosis. So, cryptosporidiosis is a gastrointestinal infection caused by a coccidial protozoan. So, coccidia are protozoa. Cryptosporidiosis may be asymptomatic or may cause diarrhea, cramping, and abdominal pain. So, how is cryptosporidiosis diagnosed? So, diagnosis of cryptosporidiosis is made by examination of stool samples because it detects of cryptosporidium can be difficult to patients may be asked to submit several stool samples over several days. So, the next pathogen of protozoal infection is the giardiasis. It is a protozoal infection of the duodenum, the uppermost portion of the small intestine, and may be asymptomatic, mild, or severe. So, once a person or animal has been infected with giardia, the parasite lives in the intestine and it is passed in stool or poop. So, once outside the body, giardia can sometimes survive for weeks or even months. So, how do humans get giardia? So, you can get giardiasis if you swallow giardia germs. So, in short, giardia spreads easily and can spread from person to person or through contaminated. So, the most common way people get sick is by swallowing contaminated drinking water or recreational water. For example, the lakes, the rivers, or pool. So, in the viral diseases of digestive system, we have one pathogen in this area. So, for example, the mumps virus and Paramyxoviridae. So, mumps virus belong to the genus Paramyxovirus and exhibits more a characteristic of the Paramyxoviridae. It occurs only in a single stereotype and shares minor common envelope with antigens with other paramisovirus species. So the nucleotide sequence homology between various mumps virus isolate is 90 to 99%. So the disease will be the mumps. So mumps is a viral infection that primarily affects the saliva producing salivary glands that are located near your ears. Mumps can cause swelling in one or both of these glands. So the question is, the mumps have treatment? So there is no treatment in mumps. It is usually goes away on its own within 2 weeks. So because it is a viral infection, antibiotics do not work. So let's go on the bacterial disease of the mumps. So we have 3 pathogens here, which are the Streptococcus mutans, the Streptococci actinomycetes, the anaerobic gram-negative bacteria, the Prevotella intermedia, and the spirochates. So first will be the Streptococcus mutans. So Streptococcus mutans, it is a facultatively anaerobic gram-positive coccus or round bacterium commonly found in the human oral cavity, and it is significant contributor to tooth decay, which is the disease is the dental caries or the tooth decay. So the next pathogen will be the Streptococci actinomyces anaerobic gram-negative bacteria. So actinomycetes are gram-positive mycelial bacteria, or the gram-negative bacteria known to produce a wide variety of industrially and medically relevant compounds such as the antibiotics, chemotherapeutics, fungicides, herbicides, and immunosuppressants. So the disease is the periodontal disease. So are actinomyces fungi or bacteria? So actinomyces are a group of bacteria that share some common characteristics with fungi and in the eye can cause similar disease to fungi. So they are available or they are able rather to form hyphae, usually considered a trait of fungi only. So the next pathogen will be the Prevotella intermedia and the spirochete. So Prevotella intermedia, formerly Bacteroides intermedius, is a gram-negative obligate and aerobic pathogenic bacterium involved in periodontal infection, including gingivitis and periodontitis. So the disease will be acute necrotizing intermedia. So let's move forward to the fungal diseases of this digestive system. So first is the Aspergillus flavus, grows in peanuts. So Aspergillus flavus grows in peanuts. Aspergillus flavus, it is a saprotrophic and pathogenic fungus, with a cosmopolitan distribution. So it is best known for its colonization of cereal grains, legumes, and tree nuts. So post-harvest rot typically develops during harvest, storage, and or transit. So the disease will be the aflatoxin poisoning or the aflatoxin toxicity has been well established in both humans and animals. So aflatoxin exposure can cause nausea, vomiting, abdominal pains, convulsion acutely, and its chronic exposure can also lead to various complications like hepatotoxicity, immunotoxicity, and tetragenicity. So that's all for today's video, and I hope you learned something on our discussion. Thank you.